Welcome back, everyone, for part 3 of the Khador Mark III Warcaster review. Gonna start off with the Grey Lords, because I think it's a fun way to start this one. Zerkova 1, we will lead off with. She is probably the most changed, I would say. Definitely, I would say most improved, because she went from quite a low tier caster to what looks like pretty good, but time will tell here. Going over the stats: speed 6, strength 5, mat 6, rat 5, defense armor 15, command 9. She kept immunity cold and pathfinder. The Rod of Whispers went from range 8 to range 13 or range 10. Still POW 13 magical weapon. Um, Quitus went from same thing. PNS 11, half inch reach. Still focus 7. Now up to 28 Warjack points. So the front of the card doesn't look that great, especially at 15-15 defensive stat line. Kind of hanging out there. The Rat 5 on the Rod of Whispers, I wish that would have gone up to a Rat 6, but I'm okay because a lot of her other stuff got really cool, but I'll cover that in a second. Her arcane artifacts, probably the best thing about her. Stayed similar but a little different. When this model casts a spell, you can choose one of the following special rules. Each special rule can be used only once per activation and expires after the spell's cost. So it still has that thing, you can only use each one once a turn. And I suppose that's okay. I wish it was more like every time she made a spell, you choose one, but that could be a little bit broken. She gave up. Actually, never mind. Before I go on, Focus Sphere is the same. Reduce the cost of the spell by 1. Lens of Tardov. I think that's how you say it. I'm not sure, but the lens. It used to be +3. It's now +5. That's a huge improvement. So if you team up with Silas now, you can add 7 range to your spells. A range 10 can go up to 17. That makes her quite the sniper. The Ghost Stone was replaced by True Sight. Ghost Stone front model's arc extends to 360 degrees, ignores line of sight when targeting, models in control area, and ignores stealth. Now it ignores cloud effects and stealth, which is fine. The 360 degree never really came into play, and losing the line of sight, but ignoring clouds and stealth is going to be good in this mode. She lost the Orgoth seal and just got Sacred Ward, so instead of -3 range, and if they hit her, they suffer D6, you can't target her, period, which is better. War Room's being funky here. And then Rod of Whispers now gained Grave Door. So Grave Door is very cool, and this is why I wish he was Rat 6, not 5. A model disabled by this weapon cannot make a tough roll. When a living or undead enemy model is boxed by this attack, you can choose to take control of it. If you do, remove 1 damage point from it, causing it to no longer be boxed. You can then immediately change its facing. For the rest of the turn, this model can channel spells through the affected model while it's in your control range and not engaged. So basically, you can snipe something out and turn it into an arc node to make her ridiculous range even longer. Unfortunately, with that Rat 5, I don't know how often this is going to come into play, and the fact that you probably are going to have to boost to hit because she is a Rat 5. I guess if you're aiming, you can do it. The range 10 helps. I don't know how often that's actually going to come into play. Hopefully quite a bit, because that will make her a pretty big badass. So her spell list also changed a good amount. Let's make sure we try to get these in order. So before, she had Banishing Ward, which is gone. She had Force Blast before, which was target a model model's battle group. Enemies currently within 2 inches of it are pushed 4 inches directly away. That is gone. She used to have Icy Grip, which is also gone. Pretty much everything is gone. Icy Grip was giving enemy warrior model / unit -2 defense. They could not run or make special attacks, and that was an upkeep. Influence is gone. Is Razorwind still there? No, Razorwind is gone. Twister, it's all gone except for Watcher. So she's only keeping Watcher. And I think Watcher changes, if I'm not mistaken. They used to say when an enemy model advances and ends its movement within 6 inches of this model, choose a Warjack in the battle group that is in the control area. That Warjack can immediately make a full advance. It can make 1 normal melee or ranged attack that is fully boosted, attack and damage rolls. After the attack is resolved, Watcher expires. So it's pretty much the same as that, except the expires part. So you don't have to recast it, and you can just keep upkeeping it. Now, because Silas makes her so much better, because the range extender and she likes to sling spells, this is currently her only upkeep. So you can just have that on always for free and kind of forget about it, which is kind of cool. Her other spells, so she gained a bunch since she lost everything but Watcher. Freezing Mist. Freezing Mist is kind of like Twister. Twister was a cloud effect you could put down. That was a POW 10 AoE 3. But now it's Freezing Mist. Instead of attacking an enemy with it, you can just place a 3-inch AoE cloud anywhere completely within her control range, while in the AoE, models without immunity to cold suffer -2 to the attack rolls. And this stays in place for 1 round. There's no POW on it. It's just a cloud with -2 to attack rolls. That's AoE 3. So you can just kind of put out a cloud wall with her. And it's cost 2. So you can make one of them cost 1 point. So you can put out 3 of these for 5 out of her 7 focus. I'm not sure if you're going to want to spend that much focus on them, but you can definitely put out some good clouds with her. Combined with other things like Kodiaks or Grey Lords or whatnot, you can put up a pretty good cloud wall with her. Then she has another Force spell, but it's totally different. Oh no, not Force. It was Force Blast, now Frost Hammer. Sorry. It's my dyslexia kicking in. Frost Hammer is kind of like our magical shotguns, except it has crit stationary. Cost 2, spray 8, POW 12. Frost Hammer causes cold damage on critical hit. Model hit becomes stationary for 1 round unless it has immunity cold. That's pretty good, but I don't know how often you're going to have her close enough to really be using this, because 15-15 she's kind of squishy for a caster. And no, you cannot extend sprays with her range extenders. So chances are, because the sprays ignore stealth and clouds anyways for the most part, you are just going to be using Focus Sphere to make that a cost 1 spray, if you haven't used that already. But the cool thing is you can boost on that, so if you are arranged to use that, pretty good. She gained Ghost Walk, which is very awesome. Target friendly faction model / unit gains Ghostly for 1 turn. Model with Ghostly can advance through terrain and obstacles without penalty and advance through obstructions if it has enough movement to move completely past them. It cannot be targeted by free strikes. So you can get some of our Khador infantry where you want them to go. I can see this being pretty crazy with Ulans. Just kind of get them wherever they need to, especially with their big movement. Yeah, it's going to be so good with so many of our models and units. Just when you need to get someone in there, they can. I mean, you can pretty much have all of our stuff act like Kayazi eliminators. Then the next one, the big deal, Hex Blast. Enemy upkeep spells and animi on the model / unit directly hit by Hex Blast immediately expire, and it is range 10, AoE 3, POW 13. Now, this is that one that's range 10 that she's going to be able to snipe out for 17 inches if you want her to with Silas. And that's pretty freaking crazy, because you're gonna be really just not only use it as a tool to snipe out people, because POW 13 is legit, but obviously the upkeep removal, it's gonna be hard for enemies to keep that up. And I mean, you can cast it for 2 at range 12 with Silas too, which isn't bad. Or if you get an arc node, you can kind of pop that wherever. So yeah, that's her spell list. Pretty damn good. A lot of tools here. Watcher's really going to help keep her safe, and with her more jacks, that's even better. So if enemies do get close to you, getting a fully boosted attack and damage rolls on a Juggernaut or Behemoth or whatever jacks you have with her is going to hurt like crazy. I guess with Growler and the knockdown, that was the dream before the Watcher. Knockdown only works with Growler on his activation now, so that won't work with the auto knockdown on that, but still, you get a boosted Juggernaut axe in there. It's going to mess up a lot, and you have a good chance for a crit freeze on that, so keeping a Juggernaut by her does not sound like a bad idea. But yeah, like I said, great spell list. Being able to put out clouds to hurt enemies' rats or protect you. You've got 2 offensive spells with Frost Hammer and Hex Blast, both very good. You have upkeep removal with Hex Blast. Ghost Walk helps with assassination for your models or just getting them where you need to go. Watcher obviously defensive, so great spell list there. And with the artifacts, you can use the hell out of them. And then her feat also got better. Her feat, Howling Wind, used to be where enemy models beginning their activation in Zerkova's control area lose their initial range attacks, cannot run, charge, or make special attacks, give or receive orders, or make special actions. And that was a very good feat, it's just she wasn't very good outside her feat. Now her feat is, well, in Zerkova's control range, enemy models cannot make ranged attacks. Enemy models beginning their activation in their control range cannot run, charge, make power attacks or special attacks, give or receive orders, or make special attacks. And Howling Wind lasts for 1 turn. So before, if there's a jack caught in it, it lost its initial, but it could just buy another attack and shoot you anyways. Now it cannot do that. And at Focus 7, that's a 14-inch bubble, which makes her pretty safe, but also your army. Now, enemies can just step backwards out of your feet and shoot, so that's a little bit different. Before it was enemy models beginning their activations for everything. Now that is just for cannot run, charge, power attacks, special attacks, give or receive, or make special actions. But they can step out of your feet and then shoot. But yeah, overall, massive improvement here for Zerkova. She went from kind of unplayable to really pretty scary. Can she arc the spray? Because that could be pretty fucking ridiculous with Gravedoor. If I don't see why not. I'm gonna have to double check the rules on that. But getting the ability for an arc node and just all that stuff I covered, just a way better spell list. Her artifacts got slightly better. I think I missed. Her sword used to have, I think, critical disruption or just disruption on jacks. Yeah, when a warjack just stationary. So stationary on hit on jacks, but if an enemy jacks within range of Zerkova, no, you've probably done that wrong. You don't want her that close. But yeah, let me know what you guys think of her, because I'm really excited to build lists with her. Since she doesn't really have a whole lot of upkeeps, I'm not sure how I'm building those lists yet. You can kind of put whatever in there. I'm kind of thinking about playing around with some Ulans and Ghost Walk and let them just get way up there and then be able to kind of reposition a little more freely too. But yeah, that could be interesting. The inability to screen Ulans. Yeah. Anyways, next caster. So following Zerkova 1, we might as well go straight into Zerkova 2. I think she changed a lot less because she was such a new caster. I think she was somewhat ready for this version. But she did have some changes. So stat wise, she's the same as Zerkova 1, 6'5", 6'5", 15, 15. She does not have Pathfinder. She does have immunity to cold. And because she's a unit, she's got her little Kommander icon, which is kind of obvious. Her Orgoth blade gained blessed, but it's the same POW 12, half-inch range, focus 7, same amount of boxes. She's got 24 Warjack points. Before she had 4, making both of her Doomies about 1 point. Now they're about 2 points apiece, so that seems about right. Self-sac changed to call to sacrifice, and I don't think it's really any different. Oh no, it's up to 5 inches away, which does improve it. Now reads, if this model is disabled by an enemy attack, you can choose a non-disabled friendly Reaver Guard model within 5 inches of this model to be destroyed. If another model is destroyed as a result of this, remove 1 damage point from this model. Yeah, so you got an extra 2 inches on that, which is a pretty big deal. She is a Grey Lord. She does have Sacred Ward, just like she used to. She is a Warcaster unit, just like she used to. She no longer has Inspiration for the Grey Lords, which gave them Fearless, because there is no more Fearless. And her blade was blessed before, it just wasn't an icon on the front, and I forgot about it. Blessed, in case you guys don't recall, when making an attack, this weapon ignores spells, spell effects, or animi now, that add to a model's armor or defense. So, next is the spell list. She kept Banishing Ward, which is a 2-cost, range 6 upkeep spell. Enemy upkeep spells and animi on target friendly model units expire. Affected models cannot be targeted by enemy spells or animi. So that's very, very good, of course. Just keeps your units a lot safer. And if you make there's already a lot of models we can use between Doom Reavers that have Spell Ward and Alexia and the Risen. But this allows you to pretty much build an entire army that's immune to spells. Throw Rune in there, and it's kind of fun. She keeps Horrorfrost, which is her range 8 AoE 3 POW 14 spell that has a crit stationary on it, which is very good for her assassination run. Keeps Cult Whispers, still costs 3. Boosted magical damage rolls for friendly faction models. Or it's gained additional die, not boosted, which can matter. Sacrificial Lamb. Remove 1 friendly faction warrior models in the spellcaster's control area from play. Each Warjack in the spellcaster's battle group that is currently in the control range gains 1 focus point. You can only do it once per turn. This is kind of cool. I mentioned Alexi and the Risen before. It used to say living, now it doesn't. And you don't get cheaper grunts than Risen. So you can now, if you have Vel check on them, you can sacrifice Risen and run a pretty deep Warjack line with her, which could be interesting. It's a little different because you lose some of that spell assassination if you bring too many jacks, because if you're bringing a lot of Grey Lords, you don't have a lot of room for a lot of jacks, but it allows her to be played a little differently now, because she can definitely feed a lot of jacks that way. If you're bringing 4 and you have Alexi and the Risen, it's not that hard to sack 1 Risen a turn. And I mean, how often do your games go more than 3-4 rounds anyways? Sacking 3-4 Risen a turn to put 4 focus out there seems like a pretty damn good deal to me. Next, Disillusion Bolt left. And that was a model hit by the bolt could not channel spells for 1 round. It was range 8 POW 12. She now got Spectral Fire instead, so she can't shut down arc nodes like she could before, but this is cost 2 just like the bolt. range 10, POW 10, but the ability on it is you gain +1 damage, or sorry, +1 POW for each focus or fury point on the target model. So if a Warcaster is going to try to camp a lot, she can really punish them for it. With this one is cool because she is a long-range assassination caster. With her feat, which I'm going to get to in a second, you can have 2 units of Outriders run 18 inches up. You can move her up 6 feet, cast Occult Whispers, hopefully get a crit Horror Frost on them, and then cast Spectral Fire. And if they're camping 5 and let's say they're armor 15, now this is even dice. You boost it. That's pretty powerful at that point. So yeah, that's gonna be something they're gonna have to definitely use focus on. But then they can have up to 10 more POW 12 sprays coming at them that they're gonna have to kind of pick and choose which ones they get rid of. And I don't know, just really increases her assassination game, I think. Lastly, she kept Telgish Mark, which is an upkeep. You can make one of your own models in Arc Node, which once again, great with eliminators. Her feat stayed the same. Each friendly faction model currently under control area can cast 1 spell without spending focus, performing a special action or a special attack. So basically, if a model's got a spell on their card, they can cast it. And that's where you obviously want all the Grey Lords and just spray the hell out of that caster. Or with Turnians, sometimes you'll use them with boosted rolls to freeze a caster out and lower their defense so all your Outrider sprays can hit. And now that you can't just camp armor with focus, those POW 12 sprays became better. Because most casters are somewhere around like armor 14, 15, or 16. And POW 12s definitely crack those. Even the Butcher, who's heavier at 18, an average POW 12 is going to go over that. That's dice -4. Average dice roll is a 7. Or sorry, dice -6. So you still crack that one by 1. But, POW 16s, that's, 3 damage on average. And if you can bring 2 full units of Outriders, even though it's 40 out of your 75 points, it's going to be hard to stay out of that threat range of running 18 inches and then be able to spray because of the feat. And 10 POW 12s, and the average of 3 damage apiece, that's 30 damage on top of what she can do. And then you'll probably have a behemoth on her launching a couple of bombards on you or whatnot. So yeah, her assassination game just went up. Her survival went up a little bit. Between Call of Sacrifice and then a shield guard on her, she's not that easy to remove, especially because you can't cast spells on her. And her assassination game just kicked up a little bit. So very fun there. Both Zerkovas coming into Mark 3 pretty strong. So let's move on to another Grey Lord caster. So our next Grey Lord is the man in the machine himself, Karchev. He, like Zerkova 1, changed a whole shitload. And there are some people that thought it wasn't as good. I think it's a hell of a lot better, and a lot of people seem to agree with that. And I'm going to be trying to dive in and explain this. So, on the front of his card, he's always Speed 4, Strength 12, Mat 7, Rat 5, Defense 12, Armor 19, Command 8. None of that change. His Fissure is a Spray 10, POW 12. It is now magical weapon. It was not before. His Open Fist is 1 inch reach now, because he is a jack. And it is PNS 15. His Sunder, his axe, is PNS 19 with a 2 inch reach. And it's magical like it was before. Same amount of boxes. But he lost the B columns, or the B for the body. That's just no longer exist. The big deal is he went from focus 5 to 6. And I'm going to be talking a lot about that because he was focus starved as a jackcaster. The other cool thing is he used to be Warjack points +5, which was on the low end. Now he's plus 30, which is on a high end. So as a Jackcaster, he has more focus to feed them, more Warjack points, and with power up, his game really changes. And this should be really good for us. So he kept Arcane not Arcane, I've always called it Arcane. Whatever, the Turbine. At the Turbine, you can spend one focus as activation to gain +2 movement, but now it also gives a Pathfinder, which is way better. Man in the Machine used to be this incredibly confusing long paragraph with some systems can be healed with focus, others can be healed with repairs. Now it's a little simpler. He's a living model. He's neither a Warjack nor a warrior model. His damage grid suffers damage like a Warjack. He can slam, trample, throw power attacks without spending focus, but cannot make throw power attacks while his open fist is crippled. Makes sense. Effects modifying the amount of damage to or the manner or... Alright, let me start over that sentence. Effects modifying the damage... Effects modifying the amount of damage to or the manner in which damage is applied to Warjacks also apply to him. He cannot spend focus to remove damage, but he is repairable. He also gained Unyielding, which is +2 armor when he's engaged, which is pretty cool. So if you do get him in melee, he's going to be armor 21. That's completely awesome. And Fissure still has Knockdown. Yeah, so just him being able to be fully repaired is pretty sweet. Now, his spell list, he only kept 2 out of 5 spells. And this is part of what made him kind of controversial. Technically, kind of 3 spells, but we'll get into that. He kept Eruption, which is a range 8 AoE 3. Is it still AoE 3? Yes. POW 14 fire AoE that stays as a cloud hazard for 1 round. So that's not bad. Costs 3. And then he kept Ground 0, which is target self, center a 5-inch AoE on the spellcaster. Each other model in the AoE is hit and suffers a POW 13 damage roll, and after that they're pushed d6 directly away. That's it. So he lost everything else. Now, the other spells he lost, Sidearms, which was, in this model's control area and base to base with 1 or more models in the battle group, models in the battle group cannot be knocked down and getting +1 defense for each other model they are base to base with. It wasn't bad, but usually he had Toe Up instead, which is another self-targeted upkeep, which was during your normal movement. This model advances within 2 inches of friendly Warjack. At the end of that movement, you can place the Warjack base to base with it, completely within its back arc, up to 3 Warjacks. So you would move him up, turn him around backwards, giving his rear arc to all the enemies, but then there would be 3 Jacks in that rear arc, which if you went with the Turbine, you can move him 6, turn him around, and kind of boomerang those Jacks around, really pushing them upfield and helping your movement. This is gone, and a lot of people are upset about that. But here's the problem. So that's upkeepable, so you can do it first turn. But you spend 1 out of his 5 for the Turbine to get that 6 inches, and you spend 1 in this upkeep. And you're not using Silas with this guy. Definitely using War Dog with him. So that's 2 of your focus gone already, leaving you only with 3. And if you have 3 Jacks, you can't really put focus on them, because if you are going to slingshot them, you're going to want to cast Unearthly Rage, which is well in this model's control area. This model and Warjacks in its battle group gain boosted melee attack and damage rolls, which is huge, and their melee weapons get magical weapon. So that's a hell of a spell he lost there. But if you were going to get the +2 movement, toe, and that's all of his focus. So all those Jacks he throws in there can have 0 focus. That was a problem. A big problem for him. And that also meant that he was completely unprotected. and just could be knocked over. And because he is defense 12, he's really easy to hit. He does have, a massive Khador Jack 34 box damage grid, but that can go away fast, as we've seen on Khador Jacks. So now, instead of those, he still has 2 self AoEs or upkeeps you have to choose between, and then Jumpstart. Jumpstart is models that are in the spellcaster's battle group that are currently his control area stand up and are no longer stationary, and then they can face any direction. That's pretty awesome. So there's a fair amount of casters with big knockdown potential, and this helps you that next turn. You just get them right up, and then they can go. And then turning to face that direction can be big too. I got a feeling this is going to be cast sometimes just for the change of direction, so then they can charge whatever they want. The other 2 are both kind of movement shenanigan things. Battle Charged costs 2 upkeep, self range, control area. While in the spellcaster's control area, models in his battle group gain countercharge, which is when an enemy model advances and ends its movement within 6 inches of a model with countercharge and in its line of sight. The model with countercharge can immediately charge it. The model can only use countercharge only once per round and while not engaged. So you can't use countercharge if an enemy moves up and engages you, but if you have a lot of jacks, and let's say a model comes up and charges one of your jacks, you countercharge it. There's a good chance with things like Juggernauts that you can either make them stationary. Well, luckily, make them stationary, but a better chance just knock off a system because, again, POW 19 on a charge is crazy. So that's really good defense. And if people come into Karchev. So a great defensive upkeep there. Or Road to War, which is cost 3 upkeep, self-control. When friendly faction model in the spellcaster's control range destroys 1 or more enemy models with a melee or ranged attack during its activation, immediately after that attack is resolved, 1 Warjack in the spellcaster's battle group that is in its control range can advance up to 3 inches. A Warjack can advance as a result of that only once per turn. So this one, you can get a lot of extra movement as long as you're killing things. And with jacks like Behemoth, that shouldn't be very hard. Just pop your boosted AoEs into a bunch of melee guys and just start moving your jacks up. Then his feat is the spell Unearthly Rage, which Karchev and his battle group gain boosted melee, attack and damage rolls, and everything is magical weapons. So some people thought it's really crappy for that awesome spell to go to a feat, but I'm okay with this for a few reasons. 1, he can now power up jacks. Between power up, he being focus 6, and then the fact that you can get that without spending focus. So yes, you can only use that once a game, but when you want to hit their jacks and hit them hard, you're going to have power up in your jacks. You're not going to have to spend focus for Unearthly Rage, which is really sweet. And Unearthly Rage is not boosted, it's gain additional. Oh no, it gains boosted. So if your attack and damage rolls are boosted, you get to spend all your focus buying additional attacks and buying additional boosted attacks. So you can load up your jacks and just go to town and kill so many things, and most other turns he's just going to be able to fuel his jacks a lot better, because before he had to spend all of his focus moving his jacks and trying to keep himself safe, because he did have to camp some, and now he's just got that much more focus to play with. So I think he's much, much improved, and we're going to see a lot more of him on the table. And then just the overall rules to jacks, and the fact that a lot of our jacks gained an additional mat going up from 6 to 7, and although on that feat turn they're going to be boosted, on non-feat turn That's going to make a big difference. And yeah, I think he just got a hell of a lot better because sure, he had some good spells before, but the cost to be able to use them and his low warjack points and his low focus just really kind of killed him. Like I said, if you would spend 1 to get the extra 2 movement, you're down to 4 focus to start with. That's not much. You have an upkeep, you're down to 3. You cast Unearthly Rage, which you want to, you're out of focus. So, yeah, I think even though that moved from a spell to an upkeep, I think his feat's way better now, and I think it's okay as a feat, especially because of power up, and he should see some serious play now. So, moving on to some of our other casters. So, up next is Harkevich, the Iron Wolf, the Great Beard of Khador. Kind of flowing nice, going, Greylord, 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 Warjack caster to Warjack caster. Anyways, Hark, well, he has some changes as well. So, on this card, he lost 1 on speed, going down to 5. Strength and mat stayed at 7s, we're at 6. His defense went from 15 to 14, and his armor stayed at 16. Which kind of feels like a bit nerfy to start with, but I think we're going to be okay with him. In fact, I think he got better. His hand cannon stayed the same, range 12, POW 12. And then his Minister, 14/14 magical weapon still. It's range 1 now. Same amount of boxes, 28 Warjack points. He gained Field Marshal repositioned 3 inches. So all of your Warjacks gain repositioned 3 inches. That's pretty freaking cool. Iron Sentinel he has now, which is, well, base to base with a friendly faction Warjack. He gains +2 to defense armor and cannot be knocked down. I think this is partially why he lost that defense. So now, if you just go base to base with a Warjack, he will be 16/18, which is a very good stat line. And if you have a certain Jack, which is gives you immunity to blast damage, you're also immune to that. Not that much blast damage is getting through 18 anyways. But, it's a thing. His Minister had crit stagger before, and now it's just stagger. Models hit by this attack lose their initial attacks and cannot make power attacks or special actions for 1 round. Not that you really want him in melee with Jacks to have that, but if someone does get to you and you're able to hit them, it stops them from kind of counterattacking you. On his spell list, he kept broadsides, which is cost 3. Models in the spellcaster's battle group currently in his control range can immediately make 1 basic ranged attack. You can only do it once per activation. Pretty high cost at 3, but it's a lot better now because before it was kind of a trap. Our ranged jacks weren't really good enough and you couldn't really power our jacks, but now with power up, you can kind of run this list. He kept Jumpstart, which we just covered with Karchev. And that's it. He lost Fortune, which was a really good spell with him. It was friendly faction model / unit can re-roll its missed attack rolls only once per turn. And then he had Escort, which was able to get you another 2-inch... Well, Escort was pretty much replaced by Reposition and Iron Sentinel. It used to read, Warjacks in this model's battle group, beginning their activations in the control area, gain +2 movement. This model gains +2 armor, while 1 or more Warjacks in the battle group are within 3 inches of it. But yeah, that was an upkeep, and it's not quite the same, but pretty much got both of those. So what did he gain? Bombshell, which is a cost 3, range 10, AoE 3, POW 13 spell. On a critical hit, models are thrown d6 directly away from the attacker. Roll distance once for all models affected. Models thrown do not deviate. Move models furthest from the attackers first. Instead of suffering blast damage, models hit. Let me start there. Instead of suffering blast damage, models hit but not directly hit suffer POW 10. The POW of the collateral damage is 10 as well. So if you get a crit on this, it can do a hell of a lot of damage. And then he gained mobility. Models in the spellcaster's battle group, currently in its control range, gain +2 speed in Pathfinder. And this is just one turn only, no upkeep. But that's pretty good. Between that and reposition, that's an extra 5 inches a turn on your jacks. That's kind of a big deal. Being able to hand out Pathfinder is also huge. So his mobility of the jacks went way the fuck up. And then, yeah, between broadsides, jumpstart, very good list so far. His feat is, I believe it's the same. It's +3 armor in assault. As well as free power attacks. So, well, in Hark's control range, models in his battle group gain +3 armor. Models in this battle group beginning their activations in his control range can charge or make slam power attacks without spending focus. A model in his battle group that declares a charge or slam against enemy models well in his control range can make a basic ranged attack before advancing. It lasts for 1 round. So yeah, it's not quite assault because you make the attack before moving, but that's the same as before. So with him running a lot of warjacks, a additional 5 movement on movement 4 jacks is a big fucking deal. The additional attacks are also a big deal. And if you, on his feat turn, if you broadside and then charge, let's say a model like Behemoth, you could broadside shoot and then shoot before your charge and then charge. Well, for Behemoth, that's kind of like old days where you can get 2 shots off before, well, that would be after he charged. But like Black Ivan, same thing. You could take 2 shots with Black Ivan and then make a charge. And that charge, if you have mobility up, of course, if you cast mobility in broadsides, there goes your 6 focus. But that's still a hell of a lot of stuff you're doing. So he's got a lot of options. And again, on that feat, that +3 armor is pretty damn massive for all your jacks to avoid that counterattack. I've seen some people just cast broadsides just because they know the alpha's coming. It's like, alright, I'm going to get alpha next turn. I'm not going to try the charge shenanigans. I'm just going to broadside, move my model up, do its regular thing, because now it's armor 23, and, you know, if you're using a Colossal, an armor 23 Colossal is very hard to crack. Well, I guess cracking is even on all of them, but, you know, you're not going to be able to 1 round an armor 23 Colossal, most likely. That's going to be a very difficult feat. So, Hark came out pretty well with this, too. So now I think we have 2 really legit Warjack casters that can do some really awesome things. Next on the list is Strakov. He was another one of our kind of, I guess, troubled casters. Had a lot of potential, but a very one-rounded game. Pretty much just long assassination threat. That if you can get it off, really good, but that's really all he could do. I think he's a lot more well-rounded in this, but he still has that threat potential. So starting off in the stats, speed 6, strength and mat 7, rat 6, defense 15, armor 16. Pathfinder, immunity to fire and corrosion, like before. Focus 6, his Cinder Bomb, range 6, AoE 3, POW 14, fire, like before. The Riot Gun is now, used to be range 10, rate of fire 1, POW 12. It's now D3, POW 12, range 10. The Trench Sword is also the same, PNS 13, half-inch reach. On the Riot Gun, that will be on his card. It used to be a Rapid Fire 3, so you roll a D3, and that's the number of initials. So that's pretty much the same. He's still got his mask, which Means he does not. He ignores. It used to say ignores gas effects. Now it says model does not suffer gas effects. And when determining line of sight resolving attacks, he ignores cloud effects. He gained resourceful, which is really cool. This model can upkeep spells on models in its battle group without spending focus. That's pretty sweet for kind of a jack-based caster, which he is. Still has sprint like he did before. And he used to give Assault Commandos Pathfinder, but now he gives them +1 to attack rolls, but they have to be in his command range, not his control. And I believe that is a 9. Yes, it is. So, AKs, they got bumped up from 5s to 6s, but now with him they're 7/7. That's pretty awesome. His Cinder Bomb now gives smoke. It's an AoE that stays and remains in play for 1 round, which he had before, but it lost cumbersome, so he can now shoot both guns in 1 turn. And his Trench Sword has brutal charge like it did before, +2 to attack damage rolls with this weapon. So on his spell list, still has Battering Ram. When an enemy model is hit by Battering Ram, it can be pushed D3 directly away from the spell's point of origin. It used to be range 6, now it's range 8, POW 12, and cost 2. Occultation, you can give stealth to a model or unit. Still has that. Models out of formation are not affected, and now it's only friendly faction like most upkeep spells. Overrun, one of his big abilities. Actually, his spell list almost stayed the same. He lost 1 spell. When target model in the spellcaster's battle group destroys 1 or more enemy models with an attack, immediately after that attack is resolved, 1 model in the battle group that is in the control range can make a full advance, and then it expires. A model can advance only once per turn as a result is overrun. So yeah, with overrun, you kill a model, and one of your models can move an additional time, which can make a big difference for threat range, and his threat range gets even crazier. He lost Rift, which was AoE 3, or sorry, a 3 cost AoE 4 POW 13 that stayed in play for 1 round, but that's really not something he's using. Sentry he kept. A target-friendly faction model gains rapid... Well, that changed. It used to be when an enemy model advances and ends its movement in line of sight of a target-friendly faction model, the affected model can immediately make 1 normal range attack and then it expires. It's now target-friendly faction model gains rapid fire, which is an enemy with rapid fire can make 1 basic ranged attack during your maintenance phase. So you kind of lose that counter-attack ability with it, but it doesn't expire, so it's easier to keep up. And if you throw it on a jack, it stays up. And it's just a free shot. So with, like a behemoth, that's pretty freaking cool. Or Victor, or yeah, a lot of your guys. And it's just friendly faction model, so you can put it on a jack. And then he kept Superiority, which is target friendly faction warjack, gains +2 speed, mat, and defense, and cannot be knocked down, which really kind of cranks up your jacks, and your range on them is getting pretty damn big here. So then you go to his feat, which is, I think it's the same as before. Friendly faction model that charge or slam power attacks an enemy model while that model is in his control range, gain +4 movement when advancing as part of the normal movement, and Pathfinder. Warjacks and his battle group can charge. Battle group? I said bottle group. Can charge or make slam power attacks, target an enemy model while the enemy is in his control range. without spending focus, which is pretty much the same. So his threat range on his jacks get crazy because you can give him +2 movement. You get that +4 movement from Iron Fist and Overrun, which would be even another 6 inches if they have superiority on them. So you start adding up all those, and if that jack's got reach, it really cranks up, and you can get a jack pretty far up enemy lines and really destroy some things. And I'm kind of thinking Drago might be a jack for him. This just kind of hit me now looking at him. But with Berserk and the fact that PNS 17 and then Gravewind, he can get pretty damn high on defense because Drago's normally an 11, but with superiority and Gravewind, that puts him at a defense 15. And if an enemy model misses in attacking him, after the attack is resolved, you can choose to push that model D3 away from him. Oh, it's kind of cool, but mainly that Berserk with Drago, you can send him into enemy infantry and just go freaking nuts with him. So, and just making him defense 15 will really make it hard to kill Drago, because defense 15 is pretty hard to hit, and getting a jack up there, that's not bad. So yeah, that is Strakov. So let me know what you guys think of him. Not as big of changes as some of the other ones, but I just think the changes with jacks are going to make him much better, and the ability to run more jacks to really kind of make that threat range on his feet that crazy, and just get all those jacks in there and just start killing stuff. Because if you alpha with a bunch of Khador jacks and you remove some of the enemy's hard hitters, or at least cripple them to the point where they can't counterattack very well, it's going to be really hard to remove 4 Khador jacks. And you can pretty much run 4 jacks with him, I think. If not 5 or more. Just send an entire army of berserkers with him and see what happens. So, yeah, he looks a lot more fun to play as well. And that leaves us with one caster left and nothing to compare to. It is our brand new caster, Kozlov. He is our Iron Fang, although he's not officially labeled as an Iron Fang on this card, which is a little disappointing. He is speed 6, strength and mat 7, or at 5 without a ranged weapon, so who cares? Defense 15, armor 17, which is a pretty good stat line there. Command 9, and tough. He has a great axe, which is range 2, PNS 12, magical weapon and weapon master, so not Lola, but not something to ignore. Focus 6 with 17 boxes and 28 warjack points. So on his card for abilities, he's got Precision Strike, which is when this model damages a warjack or war beast with a melee attack, which is only attack, you choose which column or branch it suffers, and he's got Sidestep, which is on a hit, you advance up to 2 inches. So, pretty decent there, but a little light on the card. A lot of us were hoping for an Iron Fang, or a Pikeman, I guess, yeah, Iron Fang, Elite Cadre or something, since they kind of talked about him being an Iron Fang when they first talked about him, but no luck. Spell list starts with Avalanche, which is cost 3, range 8, AoE 4, power 14, on a critical knockdown on it. That's pretty legit. Chosen Ground, cost 2, range self, AoE control. It's upkeepable. Well, in the spellcaster's control range, models in the battle group gain Pathfinder and Steady, so cannot be knocked down in Pathfinder. That's really good for running your jacks. Next upkeep is Fury. Target friendly faction model / unit gets +3 to melee rolls, but suffers -1 defense. Once again, great spell. We have it on some of our other casters. Razor Wind, which is our boring nuke. Cost 2, range 10, power 12. And then you have Tactical Supremacy, which gives a friendly faction model slash unit reposition 3. That's cost 6, or sorry, cost 2 range 6 upkeep, which is really good for infantry models as well. So it's a really balanced spell list here. You've got 2 nukes, one of them's an AoE, one of them's not. The AoE I think is much superior, even though it's cost 3 and less range. AoE 4 power 14 is pretty good. A battle group spell with Pathfinder and Steady is very nice. Fury is fantastic. Tax Supremacy is really good. His feat. Friendly faction models in his control range gain +2 speed and unyielding. Unyielding is if you're engaged with an enemy model, you get +2 armor. So everything on here is good, but kind of like a lot of people were worried about when he was first announced, is like, great, another dude with an axe. How is he going to be, kind of unique? And that question still kind of remains. He's got infantry help with attack superiority and fury. Chosen ground, really helps your jacks. And his feat's pretty nice, +2 speed. And unyielding is pretty awesome. You get some pikemen in there, especially if you mini feat with normal pikemen and then shield wall after your charge. They're going to be armor 22, or just any jacks that charge in and get engaged are going to be armor 22, which is really awesome. Just that overall speed boost to everything's really good. But it's still just kind of I don't know, he seems a little vanilla to me. His cards on his ability with Precision Strike and Sidestep, both of those good, but it's just not that interesting or new, or I guess I don't think we have a caster with Sidestep, so that allows him to do some good things, especially with Mat 7 and a Reach Weapon Master Axe. So he can definitely do some work himself, especially being armor 17. And if you're able to charge in with him on your feet and keep him safe, or get him engaged, then he can have a pretty good threat range. He'd be speed 8, so with a charge 11 inches, threat 13 with his axe. Then if you kill, you can keep sidestepping him in and end him, or not even kill, just hit. You can keep sidestepping him in, and then he'll be armor 19. Armor 19's not bad at all. Fury can really crank up a unit to remove stuff, or even Fury on him. I mean, I can see him going through and creating some havoc, because then your axe is 15 Weapon Master. He can go in and kind of do some butcher stuff at that point. So yeah, a lot of potential there, and Chosen Ground gives him Pathfinder and Steady, and he does have Tough, so no knockdown on himself is pretty awesome. Just no knockdown anytime you can put it on a caster is great. So he's got some good personal survival. He can do some personal work. I can't find anything wrong with him, but it's just he doesn't run jacks as good as Karchev or Harkevich, or probably even Strakov. He doesn't run infantry as well as your Irosks. I just don't see where he kind of has that niche. He doesn't have that big assassination potential of, Zerkova. I don't know. He kind of just, he's good. He's solid. There's nothing really wrong with him there. He just seems like a really solid caster, but being that, we're in Mark 3 now, he kind of seems like an original, like, Mark 1 Prime caster. And that's kind of a little bit of the disappointment there. It's just, he doesn't look that interesting. But, yeah, I think he's just going to get drowned out by other casters that can do certain things better, where he just kind of does everything okay. So yeah, that's my take on him. But let me know what you guys are thinking of him. I can be totally wrong. I could be missing some things with him. Like I said, I'm sure he's going to be very good, and maybe as that battle box caster, that's what they want. And I think that is to a point. They wanted like really like simple, fairly straightforward but quality casters in there, kind of as a way to learn the game. You know, you wouldn't want to start off the game with like a old witch or a Zerkova or something like that. Like he feels very Khador. He looks very straightforward to play, very high quality, but kind of easy to get into. So maybe that's why he is the way he is, and maybe we'll eventually get an epic of him that's a little more interesting. But you know, as of now, that's who he is. But it's okay. So that's it for the casters. In the next video, I'll start going over the jacks. I'll probably be able to fit more models per episode because, you know, cards are a lot shorter without the spells and the feats and a lot less to talk about. So, see you next time. Bye.